The Chicago Bears may have less cap space than was initially thought they were going to have, and we'll break that down and why that reason is. Then I have an interesting running back prospect for the Chicago Bears in free agency if it comes time for them to need a sign. We'll also be going over the running back prospects in the NFL draft. I would like to see the Chicago Bears possibly go after. We'll get into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
All right, welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central. I'm one of the hosts here, Haize, holding it down for C-Dub and Bobby on the daily episode. And so information has come out that the Chicago Bears are actually going to have less than the initial over $100 million projected that they were going to have. And it's not too much less. It looks like it's going to range between $92 million and $98 million. It's still $36 million more than anybody else close to them, which is the Atlanta Falcons. But the reason for this is that with the salary cap projections prior did not account for the raise in minimum salaries for futures contracts and practice team players. And then on top of that, the incentives bonuses within contracts as well. So it looks like that's brung down the Chicago Bears off the salary cap just a tad bit. They still have more than enough flexibility to completely overhaul and change this team, and especially the front seven on defense and the offensive line, which is, I think, going to be our main priorities in at least some version of free agency. So just wanted to give an update on that. But moving on from that, one of the more interesting free agent targets potentially for the Chicago Bears came up recently in an article, and this is Danta Foreman. Now, he played last season with the Carolina Panthers, in which he played all 17 games. He had 203 carries for 914 yards and 5 touchdowns. Now, while not by any stretch, we all know I want David Montgomery to come back. I think most Bears fans want David Montgomery to come back, and it seems like things are pointing towards that direction. I'd actually be more surprised than not if Montgomery does not come back. But Foreman could offer up an interesting prospect for the Chicago Bears. Now, that would mean that Khalil Herbert will become the number one running back. Danta Foreman would come in then and be his backup, but still be someone who's still splitting time. He's used to splitting time in a backfield as well. So definitely could be that. Now, the thing with Foreman is he's not nearly going to be as successful in the passing game as far as either catching passes or pass blocking as what we're used to. But could be an interesting prospect for the Chicago Bears. He's 6 foot, 235 pounds, only 26 years old. He'll be 27 by the start of the season. But again, somebody who shouldn't command too much money. After I read that article, I thought, hey, that is actually an interesting prospect. Not necessarily somebody that I would say that I want to see the Bears target big time. But, you know, if David Montgomery does leave in free agency, whether it be that him and the Bears just can't come to the contract solution, or a team offers him a big money contract and he leaves for that, the Bears are going to have to look to add something to this backfield. So again, Treston Ebner is somebody as well who coming into the season I was excited about. So maybe there is still some hope for Treston having a full offseason, things like that. But I do think the Bears, if David Montgomery is to leave, are going to have to look at some other things. Again, not necessarily saying that I'm calling for, not saying that we should, not saying that we should resign or he 100. Nope, not many. There's not many replacements for David Montgomery for the Chicago Bears. Not many people that are going to be available and better for him. Yes, you can get some. Saquon Barkley is definitely one of them, but they come with a much higher price tag and aren't already familiarized with their system. To me, I want to see David Montgomery come back. I want to see him and Khalil Herbert continue to develop this chemistry at the two-headed backfield that they are, and especially if we can have an improved offensive line. I think it's going to be a big season for him and for the Bears overall. I just hope that David Montgomery does come back. Let me know down below. What do you guys think? Do you want to see David Montgomery come back? What is the most that you would pay? What is the contract number that you think, okay, we're getting a little bit too much to try to re-sign David Montgomery. We love you, but we may have to let you walk. Let me know that down below. But today's episode, you guys know we've been covering the draft prospects, and this is our last top draft prospects. We'll be doing some odd and end draft prospects on the episodes going forward. But I didn't get a chance to get into running backs. Now, I do not think that this is necessarily a position that the Bears are going to be looking to target early in the draft, probably more like round 3 and going forward with that. I think I could be very well wrong with that. But these prospects, most of these, I'm going to tell you, probably aren't in the Bears' range unless they are drafting earlier, maybe like their second round pick, maybe even the third pick. But this first one that I'm going to bring up is somebody that could potentially be gotten in the third round, and this is Tank Gibbs. Now, this is a running back out of Auburn. He's 6 foot, 208 pounds. some of his strengths include just his running ability. He has a versatility in schemes. He can do operate almost in any scheme. And so as we look for the Chicago Bears, having versatility at that running back position could open things up, especially as we hope that Luke Getz is going to open up the playbook a little bit more. He has a huge size and speed combination. He gets touchdowns. Now, some of the issues with him is he doesn't catch passes too often. He wasn't used very much in the passing game. He's a one-cut runner, which he's still quick. He's quick on his feet. He knows how to read zones and things like that. But and he doesn't have that necessarily breakaway speed that you want to see. And he's been a very inconsistent running back over the course of his career. Last season for Auburn, what he had 970 rushes for 10 touchdowns. I'm sorry, 970 rushing yards for 10 touchdowns. So again, it's a possibility there. So we'll see what happens. I don't really know, man. I don't know how to read it. Again, he's a player that I would like to see the Bears, maybe even if David Montgomery does come back, maybe to bring in, try to develop. The next one is a player that may just be simply put outside of the Bears range. Now, he's projected to go anywhere from low second to early third round pick. And this is Zach Charbonnet. Charbonnet is probably how you pronounce his name. He's a running back out of UCLA. He's 6'1", 220 pounds. Some of his strengths just includes his combination of size, power, and strength. The dude is just big and strong. He's going to be a big target. He's hard to take down. He keeps his balance upon first contact. He has great vision, always keeps his eyes up the field to make moves. He doesn't have the type of breakaway speed that we like to get, and sometimes he can get a little happy back there and shift his feet at the line and not really penetrate and then get tackled for losses. So those are some of the things that you want to look out for in him. But I do think if the Bears do decide to go higher on that running back position, if David Montgomery does leave, the good thing about the NFL draft is free agency comes before the draft, so we'll kind of have a better idea of what this team is going to be targeting, if they're even going to be targeting any running backs. But the next one up is another one I want to talk about. That's Kenny McIntosh. Now, this is a running back out of Georgia. You guys know I like my Georgia players. 6'1", 210 pounds. This dude is, again, a big, tall running back, somebody that can definitely provide a nice combination of height, speed, and size at that position. Very strong, has a great athletic blend of skills there. He's a good pass catcher. That's the thing with him. You can bring him in, you can use him in the running or the passing game, and you may even use him a little bit more in the passing game initially. He does have the upside to be a number one running back, I do think, as well. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to hit that, but you could convince yourself into that. Pass protection, not very good in the pass protection, and sometimes his instincts leave a lot to be desired there. But again, another player that the Bears could target kind of in that late second, early third round if they decide to go that way because of David Montgomery. And while we're going through the list here, just want to make sure that you guys know we'll be going over and doing more draft prospects after free agency. We'll be going, okay, now this is what the Bears have done in free agency. This is how it informs what we think they're going to do in free agency. So, in the draft. So that's another thing to look out for. The next one up on this list that we're going to talk about at number 4, that's Sean Tucker, running back out of Syracuse. He's a sophomore, 5'10", 210 pounds, very explosive running back. This guy is explosive. Now, where he is projected to go is about 128th. So he could very well fall to the Chicago Bears lower in that draft, and especially if things fall, he can fall even lower than that. Explosive, competitive, tough, has great control over his legs and body. Some of the issues with him, again, pass protection and his hands. Doesn't always hold on to the ball the best. And again, as the team that already has Dropsy Jones on it, do we want to bring in another potential player that has some of those issues? That's the biggest question. But another one that I think the Bears should look at. And the last one I'm going to bring up, this is Zach Evans. This is another guy who can go late in the draft that the Bears could look at. He's a junior running back from Ole Miss, 6 foot, 215 pounds, 936 rushing yards last season, 119 yards in the passing game did he have. Quick, great accelerator. He comes out of the backfield very fast. He's a physical back at that, and he makes big plays. That is why. Now, one of the things with him is he's a scheme-limited running back, so you got to look out with that. He doesn't have the greatest production when receiving the ball, and his pass protection is a little bit questionable in that as well. But again, no prospect is perfect. He's another one that the Bears could look at for sure. And then the last one, just to kind of throw in another one there, Tavion Thomas. Now, this is a guy that highly intrigues me, especially lower in the draft that the Bears could take I know I was supposed to do top 5, but we're going to throw in a 6th one that the Bears could look at. And, high upside. There'll be more upside. He's a junior. He's 6'2", 221 pounds, had 687 yards rushing last season, only 43 yards passing, but he has size and power, great vision. He's elusive. He has some issues with fumbling and holding on to the ball. He's a very inconsistent person as well, and he really doesn't make an impact in the passing game, but I see some things from him, especially as a complimentary back, which you would be looking for down there. You're not really that low in the draft looking for anyone who has like number 1 running back potential, so to say, but he does have a potential to come in, be a playmaker for the Chicago Bears or any team that drafts him. I like his combination of size, power, and his vision, and he's a physical back. I like physical running backs. I really do. So, again, that's a player that definitely intrigued me, but you guys can let me know down below who are some of the running backs you would be interested in the Chicago Bears taking a look at in this upcoming draft. That is it for me for today. Unless any other news drops. If news drops, I drop. It's a very simple process here at Chicago Bears Central. If you want to follow the show, you can do so at Chi Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for our Friday mailbag episodes, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number 1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related because of you guys, and like I like to end everything on Bear Down. Love you guys, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.